I'm Bex with Black Whisper Crafts, and I just need to make some labels. I really like the Tim Holtz labels. I like to put labels on things, but for the most part they are red or blue on the edges. So I end up having to really modify them. So I found this little stamp set in my stash whenever I am reorganizing. Not whenever, I am reorganizing everything. So I found these and I thought that would be really great because there's a variety. So I'm gonna move this so that glare is not just glaring. Then I ordered this from Amazon a long time ago and I've never used it for the reason it is one stamp, which I don't understand because there's a label here and there's different things on it. So I just put it back in my stash and thought I will either cut it apart or do something with it, and I totally forgot about it. So here it is. What I'm going to do is stamp this. Pretty much what I want is the music part all over this, which this is coffee and tea dyed cardstock. And then I'm going to do the label. So I'm going to do this in ground espresso, and let's just see how it turns out. Just going to ink this up and we'll see how it turns out. Just use my handy dandy smasher downer. And it didn't turn out at all. That is really funny. So I went and re-inked my stamp pad. And let's see how it turns out this time. Let's get it nice and pressed down, and there's an imprint. And that's really all I want. It's just an imprint in the background, and I stamped the whole thing, and that was just the very end of the stamping. And that's what it looks like. I think it turned out really well. And now I'm going to use my black soot to do the labels with. And I already have them on the stamping blocks. Two larger ones on one, then the thin one, and then another one that's a kind of a rectangle shape. Not used these before, so I'm really inking them up well until I see how they're going to ink. Give them a good press down, and that is really, really nice and dark. I like how it turned out. So I'm just going to continue to use this one that has two stamps on it. And let's see if we can get another set. No, there's not enough room. We'll just put it down here beside this one. Doesn't really matter to me what order they're in or how many I get in a row. I just need some labels. I think that longer skinny one will fit there. Might as well just go ahead and stamp those other spaces because I know they'll fit. I was trying to count the labels to see how many I was getting. I'm just doing the little rectangle one that kind of has the round corners on it, and then one more of the long thin one fits. So I'm just going to cut off that end piece. I cut these in strips so they're a little easier to manage. I'm going to cut each one of them out, just roughly cut them out because I will come back later and cut them out to be exactly how I want them. Just continuing to cut them all out. Just have several to do. Just continue to cut them all out. And let's see, I think I ended up with 18. That's a good number to start out with. I'm going to go ahead and cut them down, excuse me, like I want them to be. And this one I am just cutting off into a square and then snipping off the corners. So it's a little more shape of what the label is. And this one I'm being lazy. I'm not going to cut out that round part, I'm just going to make it into a square label. That just works fine for me. This one also, I'm going to do the same thing. I am just going to cut it into a square. That works for me. Then this rectangle one, just also cutting it so all the edges are straight. Now the very last part that I do for my labels is inking the edges so that they look aged or vintaged or old or used. And I like to use the full stamp pad. It just makes a nice dark color there. And I'm using that ground espresso, which I really like that. Just inking up all the edges of the ones that I had not inked up yet. I think they turned out really good. I really like them. So I'm good to go for just a little bit. I'm Bex with Black Whisper Crafts. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful crafty day.